welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Let's try this. Somebody else wrote this for me. So hello and thank you for visiting with the University Bookstore and with Joe Gershman, author of A Wild, Wild Hanukkah. This lovely picture book presents a procession of animals coming to visit during the nights of Hanukkah. When she was a little girl, Jo dreamed of illustrating picture books and having a pony. Years later, she feels incredibly fortunate that both dreams have come true. She lives in the Pacific Northwest with her husband, 2 cats, and a lovely Morgan mare. Very nice. You can see more of her work at www.jogershman.com. Not necessarily appropriate, but still a kids event. On this Friday at 4 p.m., we're having a Santa Claus event. So if you're interested in that, you're welcome to join us for that as well. So it's my pleasure, Joe Gershman.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Elizabeth. Okay, so I think this is on.
It is.
Okay, so not everybody here celebrates Hanukkah, so I just thought I'd tell you why we celebrate it, where it comes from. So it's actually a celebration of a victory over 2,000 years ago. A much smaller Jewish army led by the Maccabees defeated a huge Syrian army that wanted to outlaw the Jewish religion. When the Jewish soldiers put down their weapons and they went to clean up the temple, they needed to light the menorah, which has to stay lit all the time. And there was only enough oil for one night, and it would have taken at least a week to get more. So they lit the menorah and went to bed. But when they woke up the next day, it was still burning. And it continued to burn for 8 days instead of 1. And so that's the miracle that Hanukkah celebrates. So my Hanukkah menorah, which somewhere is in a bag at home, it was supposed to be packed into one of my bags. A menorah always has, for Hanukkah only, has 8 candles, 1 for each night, and then it has a 9th candle, which is the helper candle or the shamash. And you put a new candle each night. So for the first night, and you'll see in the book, there are only 2 candles, the helper and the first candle. And by the last night, you have 9 candles, and the candles are bright colors, and it's really pretty and really nice. So this holiday, it really isn't about going to synagogue and praying and being religious. It's more about being with family. And you're supposed to eat special foods and play dreidel and have fun. That's what this holiday is about. And because it celebrates a miracle about oil, eating foods fried in oil is the way to go. Okay? So, yes. So the old-time favorite that's been around for a long time are potato pancakes called latkes. And on most tables, you have sour cream and you have applesauce, and you can have people who argue about which one is better with the pancakes. I'm usually in the applesauce camp. And the other thing, which is a newer tradition, is our jelly donuts, which are also fried in oil. And you can eat as many jelly donuts and latkes as you want. So this is a story about a lot of cooks who are making latkes. Okay, now as I read, this is Daniel, and he is going to do some sound effects for us.
Oh, yay!
So, all right. So I just want to note that on this page, the copyright page, there is a clue to what the story is about. Okay, so we'll come back to that in the end. Night descends, the stars shine through. Hush, the white snow falls. Hanukkah candles burning bright. Swish, the wild wind calls. You notice the shadows here? Okay, that's another clue to what's going to happen.
Foreshadowing with shadows.
Foreshadowing with shadows, exactly. Okay, am I like echoing? Should I be still? Okay, all right. On the first night of Hanukkah, whoosh, the door flies wide. A plump and perky polar bear invites himself inside. On the second night of Hanukkah, a scaly, scary sound. To crusty, crying crocodiles peel onions by the pound. On the third night of Hanukkah, a knock comes. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Three toothy, twisty tigers pluck potatoes from a sack. Is everybody in the kitchen? So much for my pillows. Okay. On the fourth night of Hanukkah, the doorbell rings at 8 for artsy antsy armadillos. Chop and slice and grate. On the fifth night of Hanukkah, they barge in by surprise. By cheeky, chilly chimpanzees fling flour. Not too wise. Messy, messy kitchen. On the sixth night of Hanukkah, 6 operatic owls.
Woo, woo, oh Hanukkah, woo, woo.
Sorry. Okay.
Can you do that again?
All right, wait, hold on. On the sixth night of Hanukkah, while Tabby plays the fiddle, got my kitty, 6 operatic owls.
Woo, woo. Oh Hanukkah, woo, woo.
Flip lackeys on the griddle. Okay, so this one, I'm going to ask everybody to follow Danny. I need you to stand up. You're all going to help with the sound effects for this, okay? When I tell you to and you follow Danny, you're going to stomp your feet as hard as you can. And then when I tell you to do this, just stop and sit down, okay? On the 7th night of Hanukkah, wind makes the windows shake, and 7 rowdy rhinos carry donuts and a cake. And so the cake is not fried, but I really like chocolate cake, so I decided to put it in there.
Yes.
But there are plenty of jelly donuts. On the 8th night of Hanukkah, though there's hardly room for more, 8 pompous punk rock penguins spin dreidels on the floor. Okay. Does anyone remember how this platter that the Lockies are on got to the house? Yes, Cora?
There by the animal.
Which animal? Do you remember which one? Okay, so we'll come back to that one. Okay. 8 penguins, dreidels spinning, 7 rhinos, jelly grinning, 6 owls, hooting, singing,
Woo, woo, oh Hanukkah.
5 flower chimps a-flinging, 4 armadillos whirling, 3 tigers twisting, twirling, 2 crocodiles a-crying, 1 polar bear who's frying, fresh latkes crisp and gold, 8 candles burning bold. There are the candles. Hanukkah story read, and now it's time for bed. Stars twinkle, candles sputter. As Hanukkah quietly ends, we had a wild, wild Hanukkah with family and friends. So I'm just going to show you something that happens when you do a book. You do a lot of sketches, as I said. Okay, so let's just hold them right side up. Okay, so these were the 4 that I liked best. That I probably did like 8 or 10, but these are the 4 I liked best for the tigers. Okay, so you can see this is the This is a
Wow.
tiger page, so I pretty much followed this one over here. But to tell you the truth, I really liked this one the best when I was doing it. I love the connection between the little cat and the big tiger. But this is a story about a wild Hanukkah, and this has a lot more movement and chaos and the feeling that these are wild animals. So this doesn't really go with this story. And sometimes you have to let go of the story of the picture that you really like and make sure that all the pictures go together to make your story, carry the story from one page to the next. Also, when you work, okay, I'm gonna have this one up. Okay, so this was a picture, a sketch, a finalizing sketch for 6 operatic owls. However, this is a danger of working too hard without taking a break. If we count the owls, okay, why don't you hold this? Yes, there are 7 owls, and I love them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it made the most sense to take that little guy out, even though I loved him. So I took him out, and I just added some more body and some things behind them. So you always have to double check your work, and you really need to take a break because art is very hard work. And the last thing I'm going to show you is when you send a picture book off to an editor saying, please, 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 please publish me, and you cross every finger, every toe, usually make a dummy book, which it's called a dummy, but it's like a mock book. It can be tiny, it can be medium size, or it can be as big as a book. And you put your sketches in there and all of the pages, usually there are 2 things in color, so I did this and that. And you send it off, and you hope that when they see the whole book, maybe they'll take it. And so I'm going to show you one of the big change. Okay, so this is the page with the chimpanzees, but in my dummy, there are actually 4 pages of chimpanzees. This is a spread, left and right page together is a spread. So this is the first spread. And we get up to the part where they fling flour, and then you turn the page, and there are the clouds of flour. So I had to combine them. Otherwise, I would have had to make some other night, 2 other nights, just a single page. So I was happy to get rid of a monkey page. Monkeys make me kind of sad to draw. I always feel bad for them. So you can see it's changed. There's now a big head, and you see more of the chimps' faces. And that was the compromise in how I changed it. Hello. Hi. So there, and you're welcome, in addition to the portfolio, you're welcome to look through this as well and see the changes in the book. Yes. And just in case, because there's always somebody who's going to count. Okay. There are 36 animals that come to dinner, okay? And if you count from this page to the end of this page, you will find all 36.
Yeah.
And I also, remember I told you, first of all, it was the polar bear who brought the platter. Do you remember I told you there was a clue here? So this is a recipe. Now, the recipe here for your family has 4 eggs. And that will make enough latkes. I'm sorry, 4 potatoes will make enough latkes for your whole family. This one has 120 potatoes, 60 eggs, and 10 large onions. And that's only if you have 36 wild animals coming. And the last thing, I have a question for you. There are 3 characters who are never, ever mentioned in the words. Who are they? The family, that's right. But the whole story is about how the little boy, first he's scared when that polar bear comes in. All you see are he's knocked off his feet. All you see are his socks. The cat runs away, and gradually they make friends, and they're an important part of the story. And he's the only one who can read the story to all the animals. So a lot of times in illustrations, you have to look for things that might not be there in the words, but are very important to the story. Okay, so I am happy to answer any questions at all about the story, about illustrating, about the animals. You know, most of these animals, sadly, when I first started this book, they were all pretty healthy populations, and 15 years later, 5 of them are endangered or vulnerable species. So a lot of things have changed for the animals. Does anybody have any questions?
Sorry. Is that how you chose the animals for you?
Well, I did armadillos because I wanted to do armadillos, and they're very healthy. But in the
Can you repeat the
beginning,
question for
yes.
the people in the back?
What?
Could you repeat the question?
Oh, is that how I chose the animals I was doing? So in the beginning, I kind of did that, and of the 8 different animals, 7 of them, there are 2 that they think they're declining, but they're not sure. The owls, I forget the other one, but particularly the polar bears are really endangered now. So yes, and in the beginning, I actually had something in the book about that, but you know, a lot of things change as you go on with writing, and so I ended up not putting it in there. But I like to talk about it when I talk about the book, because all these animals, you can do a lot of investigation online and find out about them. So anyway, any other questions? Yes.
After you sent your dummy book
Mhm.
and they said yay or nay, do they give you feedback and say, yeah, we like it, but can you change this or that?
Actually, okay.
And then you have to redo it and stuff.
So the first time I sent it off, all I had done was this painting, and I'm sorry, the first time I sent it off, I had done this painting. We had done the text, and we sent it to 6 publishers. This was in 2008, and they all rejected it. So I put it away. In 2019, a art director saw this painting, and she said, "I'd like the dummy." I didn't have a dummy. I had put it away. I never did anything. So in 7 weeks, I very frantically, with a lot of help from my critique group, made up a dummy. I sent it off to her. She was on vacation.
Oh.
4 months later, I got an email. "Thank you for sending, but we really don't love it. We just don't think it's going to sell very well. You know, it's not for us." So I put it away, and then I thought, you know, I did all this work. I'm going to try and send it off again. So I spent a year, and this was the new cover I came up with in that year, and I changed a few pictures, and I sent it off to Car-Ben. And 24 hours later, I got, if you're lucky, they send you a reply saying, "Yes, we got your submission," because almost everything is online. So this actually, I send a digital version. Very few publishers want to see a physical submission, but if I can, I like to send it physically. And 48 hours after I sent it in, "I think I really like this. We might like to do it. Would you be willing to make some changes in the text?" And Bob and I said, "Absolutely." And we made some changes in the text, and they liked it. And she said, "Well, I'm not going to make a final decision until the spring. Why don't you contact me in March?" Contacted her in March. "Well, I still like it. We're gonna decide on which books we're gonna publish in June." So in May, I sat down and I made up a larger version of this. And I thought, you know, I'm just gonna send it because she'll be holding a physical book. And when you hold a book, it's like you can see what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a published book. It's like good karma. So I sent that off at the end of May. And at the end of June, she called and said, "We're gonna publish it." So then, yes, there were corrections they made in my book. So it starts with the title page where you have the title and the author and the illustrator's name. And then I had the words on a separate first page. And then on this spread, there are no words, but they wanted to have a half title page. And it's called half title because you just have the title. You don't have the author or the illustrator. So they wanted to add that. And they wanted to add this page at the very end, which tells you about Hanukkah. And that's why the monkeys lost 2 pages. And there were other changes, and that's in the portfolio, like the cat the cat changed. Here it's just the back of the cat, but in the book the cat is looking up. And so there were all kinds of little changes, but they were actually really easy to work with, and it wasn't anything super hard. And if I had to do one less spread, that made it easier because it was a lot of work. And then when I had finished painting all the pictures and they were scanned, I had to wait a year to see the book and worry about how it was going to look. And then when it comes, I have trouble. I was telling someone before, I have trouble looking at it for like the first 2 weeks. I can just look in little snatches because it's just too scary for me. So anyway, Kathleen.
Which animal did you have the most fun with?
I think the penguins were the most fun, you know, because they're just so like punk rock really suits them. They're just so hoppity, and yeah, they were fun. The rhinos were difficult, and to tell you the truth, the little boy and his family. This is my nephew and my brother and sister-in-law. It was very hard, and another person in my critique group really does fabulous people, and she helped me, and she kept pushing me. You got to change that line. You got to fix those eyes, and I'm very grateful to her. So every book that comes out, a lot of my critique group goes into these books, into all of our work, I think, to help make us do better work. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. All right, then I am happy to sign. So I have over here, there are bookmarks. There is chocolate. So this is Hanukkah Gelt, which are chocolate coins that are each one's wrapped in foil. And there are also dreidels if you want to see how they spin, if anybody would like one. And there's a little card with rules for how you play. And if anybody doesn't have a good recipe, this was always a very good recipe for me for Lucky's. But it only calls for 4 medium potatoes instead of 1. So, and there are 2 coloring pages also. There is a more complicated one and a simpler one. So you're welcome to take those also. And the books, I believe, are
At the register.
right. So if you get a book, if you bring it back, I've already put a penguin in them and signed them, and I'm happy to personalize them.